Any social media platform can quite literally disappear overnight, just like we witnessed with TikTok. This is something that I have been sharing for years, the importance of having your own website, your own space where you can control your narrative. All of these things ideally work together, having your website and leveraging social media platforms. But you can never get to the point where you don't build your own personal brand through your website, where you are relying entirely on a platform that does not belong to you. Because once those followers leave and once that content disappears, you essentially disappear also. In this next video, I will share with you all the tips on how to avoid that. So I have a question for you. Who do you say you are? I actually have the answer to that question also. You are whomever Google says you are. So to a lot of people, that may seem very harsh, but the reality is that if you don't have meaningful online presence, you legitimately don't exist. Not in this day and age. And when I say meaningful, I don't mean what is available on Pinterest or on Facebook or on Instagram or on TikTok. I mean quality information so that should you lose your job today or tomorrow, should you decide to go into a different job, should you decide to start your own business and someone Googles your name, does what come up, will that information actually reflect who you are? Think about a future employer, think about a future client going through your Facebook profile. Will they actually find any information about you that would make them feel that, number one, this is a person that I can work with, this is somebody that I can trust, this is somebody that actually knows their stuff? If it's the case of a future employer, you're like, okay, the individual that you have created is somebody that I trust as being part of my core team. Because as a reminder, for those of you who may not be familiar with me, at Doltam Creative Solutions, I work with individuals who are ready to transition from corporate to entrepreneurship. And for those who are not ready to make that transition, and they simply just acknowledge the fact that where they are is not where they want to be, and they are ready to present themselves. And by present themselves, I mean so that when you put their information in Google, put their names in Google, who it is that they envision for themselves is actually who it is that shows up online. That online search is everything. Gone are the days when a resume by itself would cut it. At this point, that is almost so irrelevant because you are competing against individuals that have skill sets and knowledge beyond what is considered quote unquote basic, but you're also competing globally for positions that you may not have before, as we now live in a time of many positions that are remote. So my first bit of advice is make sure you have a website, your own personal website, your own name. Let that be your domain. That is always my first bit of information, and probably the biggest, most valuable bit of information. When a person Googles your name, you want to make sure that you are actually controlling the narrative and have your own information. So a lot of you have witnessed the anxiety and the legitimate trauma that has been happening over the last few days when this video was recorded in January 2025 with TikTok going dark. The idea of TikTok no longer existing, no longer being available for so many of the people that relied on it had you all extraordinarily traumatized, because you've built this entire following, you've built a business, built a brand around TikTok, and now that is about to disappear along with your revenue. Guess what? Your own personal website, that will never be the case. That is something that actually belongs to you. So of course, social media plays a significant role in our society, in our lives, because the algorithms there, hands down, they do a lot to be able to put the information out there. But just be mindful that if you are looking for work and we are thinking about this from a professional standpoint, you don't want to have to ask anyone who may be a future client or anyone who may be a future employer to comb through your social feeds. That's ridiculous. You are now competing against individuals who, like I said, they have lots of experience. They may be previous business owners as well. So even the playing field, and make sure that you have on your website everything that you want presented. With regard to having the social platforms will serve you best professionally, LinkedIn. Make sure you take the time to have a LinkedIn profile. Again, this is about you presenting your best face forward. This is about you being able to showcase your knowledge and really just focusing on creating your personal brand. That is something that we all have. You don't have to be a huge conglomerate. You don't have to be, a huge company to have a personal brand. We each have our personal brand. And so the goal is to make sure that the messaging that you're sending on your website, what you're sharing on LinkedIn, what you're sharing ideally on any of your social media platforms is all cohesive, and it shares a story of who you are genuinely as a person. My third tip is YouTube. So as you guys know, YouTube is owned by Google, the biggest search engine in the world. And just like you would go into Google and search information, whatever that question is that you might have, you plug that into Google. People do the same thing with YouTube. So use YouTube in the same manner and start to create content based around what your personal brand is, what your own personal business is. If you are a thought leader, what your thoughts are, whatever advice is, the knowledge. We all have so much knowledge and we all have so much that we can give to the world. If you start to use the social platforms like LinkedIn, like YouTube in conjunction with your website, that trifecta, I assure you, will allow you the ability to create the kind of presence, meaningful presence, not just junk on the internet. That's not what we're here for in 2025 and beyond. We want to make meaningful impact, and the only way to be able to make meaningful impact is by providing meaningful content. And so using this trifecta of having your website, having your LinkedIn profile, and using YouTube to be able to create your brand. And don't get caught up by analysis paralysis, thinking that, well, I don't have a business, I don't have a company, I don't have anything to say. We all have something to say. And thinking about it like this, anything you choose to share, it should be something of value. If you can create a 20-second post or whatever it is on Instagram or on Facebook, I assure you that if you just took the time to think a little bit more deeply, you could create maybe a 2, 3, 4, 5-minute video on YouTube just sharing information. The point is quality over quantity. You don't have to make it, 1 and 2 and 3 hours long. That's not the point, because nobody has the time to sit through all of that and listen to it anyway. But just make sure that what you provide is content rich. It is providing information that is useful. It is providing information that will allow you to serve. By serving everyone else, you will then begin to serve yourself. If we all take the time to focus on what it is that we desire and that positive change that we would like to make, we can all help each other and change together. Anyway, guys, as always, I hope that what I have provided is valuable and it helps you tremendously. If you have any questions, never hesitate to ask, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Take care and have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.